6 o'clock, I think I'll just open up the meeting. I just want to preface the meeting by stating, as most of you know, I'm Deborah Petty, the town administrator. I was asked to have
Recording
this
in
meeting.
progress.
We have a lot of people concerned with the trade. I'm sure more will be coming in, and there's some on Zoom as well. I have met with a lot of the representatives and working behind the scenes to try to help with mitigation to the train noise. The main goal of tonight's meeting is to get a contact list, names, addresses, and specific complaints about your issue with the train. I'm sure the majority of you are gonna be noise, but if it's not noise, please let me know that it's something else. And what in particular is it? Is it just noise? And if you can give me any idea of what you would like for mitigation, that might help. I'm gonna put together a list and I'm gonna get it to all the representatives. So in the past few months, I have met with the MBTA Advisory Board, which they work for you. They work for the people. They don't work for the MBTA, but they have direct connections to the MBTA. You now have their contact information if you picked it up over there. So please know that I am working with them as well. And I met with them with Carol Fiola. The representatives all know that this meeting is occurring tonight. But because we couldn't get the MBTA to the table tonight, they prefer to come on February 11th, which is the next meeting, and they have agreed to be at that meeting. So put that in your schedule. I think you may have a little invitation there that says it'll be February 11th at 6:30 p.m. I'm going to do it in this room again because it gives us the option of having Zoom, which I think a lot of people like that option in case they can't make it here in person. At that meeting, we should have MBTA, Gene Fox will be here, Ryan Coholan will be here, and some of the, Carol Fiola has told me that she will be here. I believe Stephen Willett will be here, the representatives, and whoever else we can get here to listen to you further. Part of the reason I agreed to have this meeting is not only because the constant, people really, it's really detrimental to people's lives, is that the Mass DOT or Gene Fox has told me that they're reopening the mitigation program. So they had closed the program, said they were done, but with the amount of people that we have complaining, not just in Freetown, it's Lakeville, it's Berkeley, it's Fall River, we've worked with Carol Fiola, the MBTA Advisory Board, and they've agreed to open up this mitigation program again. So they are going back and looking at everybody's properties that may have been overlooked in the past. Some residents said they never even received a letter from the MBTA. Some houses weren't built when it was done originally, and some circumstances have just changed. So if you have been told in the past that you don't qualify, that doesn't mean that you don't qualify. You may qualify now that we're looking at it. The other piece that I am interested in is if there's any piece that the town can do, right? This is all, the federal MBTA, but if there's a piece that the town of Freetown can do that we can reasonably afford to do to make it better for the residents here, we are listening to that too. And we are trying to work with MBTA to come up with collaborative reasons so that we can make it better. The quiet zone study was done by the MBTA. The copies of it are over there. It's online as well. Take a look at it. But when it came in, because we have 11 public crossings and 1 private crossings at Brightman Lumber. We have 12 crossings. The cost to do quiet zones is in excess of $18 million. So it's really cost prohibitive for the town. And the other piece of that that's really significant to hear is that if we do quiet zones, they're only good for 3 years. The town will have to constantly do studies and testing and spend money on engineering to have them recertified every 3 years. And any accident that happens on the tracks becomes the liability of the town. So if the train hits a car, it's the town's problem, and we will be liable for that. And I will honestly tell you, that's not something I want to see the town take on as far as a liability. Someone has brought up concern tonight about the prices of the quiet zone crossing, and maybe they've been inflated, or maybe we can look for cheaper prices. I certainly will do that. I certainly will see what I can do to see if the prices are what they are, or are they inflated, and can we get it done cheaper, and then we can revisit the quiet zones. We can pick and choose quiet zones. We can pick and choose the crossings that want, if there's some that are just that much more of a nuisance than others, the town has the right to do that.
Night, right, you can stop and play.
And we can also do quiet zones for times, right? Some do them at night, not during the day. And the reason I say that is because I do have concerns during the day with the school buses. It is their one major line of defense against the trains, and the buses can't, the sight lines are terrible down these tracks, and they need to hear that horn. So there are plug and play with this. We, as a town, if we could get it to get beyond the cost I can't speak tonight, the cost of it, then we could pick and choose what makes the most sense for the town and the town residents and the liability. So with that, I'm gonna ask you if you wanna get up and speak, to please do it at the podium, it just makes it easier for us. Sorry, my phone, let me introduce, who are here, is anybody on the Zoom, the representatives?
No representative.
Carlos Slopes, Selectman,
Hi, everybody.
and my executive assistant, Luann, who's the right-hand man here. Oh, and I have Jared Zager, the selectman, is on Zoom as well. And by the way, the lights are shutting off periodically. They do this about every 20 minutes, so when it shuts off for the third time, you can all go home. So I think I will open it up to residents who want to come and speak about their issues and their concerns, and I'm gonna take notes. We're recording the meeting, as you know, through Zoom, and again, I'm on a fact-finding mission here. And if there's anything else I can answer for you, I will do my best.
Can we ask questions?
Sure, can you go to would you mind going to the podium and say your name?
No, not at all.
It just makes it easier for the recording.
So my name is Tom DiOrio, and I would like to know who quoted you that price of $17 million, first off.
Oh, this came from this engineering firm hired by MBTA, and it's in here, it's all in here, the VHB was an engineering firm that did this.
Hired by the MBTA?
Yes, and I met with them, yes.
Well, that explains the high cost.
And like I said, someone has brought that to my attention, and I will work on seeing if I can't get other costs.
Right. In my opinion, I've been doing a lot of research, like I'm sure the rest of you have, and there's two easy solutions to the problem, politics aside. One of them is to take the short gates off that just about every crossing has and put long gates up that cover the whole road instead of half the road. Because I'm sure all of us have been sitting behind somebody at a gate crossing and they're in a big hurry and they just go around, right? I've seen it happen 3 times. If you had a long gate there, it's impossible to do that. So that enhances and increases safety at each crossing, in my opinion. If the town or the MBTA are unwilling to pay for that cost, which I'm sure is, I looked up the cost of these crossing gates themselves. They're on the order of $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. To get a longer gate, probably double that. So you're looking at, with 11 crossings you had, is that what you said?
And public crossings, yes.
Yeah, looking at that, just, a wild guess is you're under 200,000 tops to do that. And like I said, that would enhance public safety overnight. The other possible solution is, if you look at, take for example, the crossing on Chase Road. That has one of those gates. They call it a 2-quadrant system, right? Where you can go around the gate easily. If you did on that crossing, for example, what you did for the intersection of Brayley Road and Chase Road, where people kept hitting that pole, the telephone pole, and you put those reflectors around it, right? If you that road's only 21 feet wide. I went up and measured it. If you came down from the crossing 10 feet and put those reflectors every 6 feet for 20 feet on either side, then once you're locked into a lane, you can't go around. And if you're 6 cars back, you don't have a chance anyhow, right? And if, let me point out something else too. In my opinion, if someone wants to die via a railroad at a railroad crossing, nothing's gonna stop them. Let's face it, right? But those are few and far between, in my opinion. So, in conclusion, there's two cheap ways out, much, much cheaper than $17 million. Now, I've taken decibel readings up at the gates with an app I put on my phone. The decibels through that crossing are on the order of 100, 102 decibels. And in order to explain the decibel system, the scale, I'd have to be here all night. It's not linear, it's not like, a straight line going up. The difference between 10 decibels and 20 decibels is 100 times more at 20 decibels than 10. So it's a logarithmic scale. Anyways, I took some decibel readings, and the people who live right on the tracks, I really don't know how they put up with it, because
So do you live on the tracks, or do you live on the crossing? Is your complaint like your complaint is noise? And
It's
you live
obviously
on the
the
track,
whistles.
or you live near a crossing?
I live 400 yards away from the tracks. 400 yards, 1,200 feet. And my decibel reading at my house is 65 decibels, which is not a big deal. And I think everybody in the room realizes that we're not going to stop the train. We are not going to stop the commuter rail. I don't know how they stay in business because nobody rides it. But-
Yeah.
said that the ridership was strong, and I saw that it was up 33% versus last year, when it was just, Middleborough, Lakeville, whatever, like, every time I have to stop for that, especially at night when I'm out and about, there is no one on that train. The lights are on, it is empty,
And
every single time.
the lights are on and no one's home.
So I think the ridership would
When I worked
be,
for the MBTA, I had asked that, I said, they said, this isn't to make money.
it is not to make
It's
money.
to lose money.
They're
If you do
losing
a
money.
Google search on how much money they take in,
Yeah.
it'll show you what the ridership fares
Well,
are.
here's what pisses me off, is
But
to
then how
lose
much they
money
spend.
at our expense,
Yeah.
at our
Well, I think
health.
that's what I want to say to you. If your issue is the ridership, which, I will ask them to bring that information to the next meeting, so you will have that. And just to backtrack, I will also ask if I can get a rep from VHB to come here to talk about this diagnostic report as well. I'll see if we can do that, to have them here as well.
Who was VHB?
They're the engineering firm that did this. So I'll
Okay.
see if I can get somebody there, but to talk about the ridership and whether the train makes money or not, that's a state issue. That's the government who is spending your money on the train system. It's not a town issue, and I
No,
can't
no, I
necessarily
understand.
address that.
In my opinion, it's probably a legacy issue. This is started by Charlie 20 years ago and was never finished. So Healy decided that she's going to go through with it and finish it. It's more political than anything else, in my opinion. I've been through the Freetown station on the way, to and from Fall River at different times, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, different times of the day. I have never counted more than 8 cars in that parking lot. So,
Yeah, I understand that.
but it's at the
Unfortunately,
expense of
that's-
us, which really
that's-
aggravates me.
You need to bring that to your representatives.
Yeah.
Deb, I have D. Carvello on Zoom.
I'd like
Is
to speak.
asking, this one's asking a question, is it possible to just limit the 1 AM and 2 AM trains altogether? Delaying on the train horns is excessive and waking people up.
So, okay, I can answer that one. So speaking with Keolis on the matter, right? Keolis is the individuals that are in charge of operating, maintaining the railroads right off Cupco Road, right, here in Sonnet, right? That's where their headquarters are, speaking with their safety folks. So can they turn off or just, almost like quiet hours, right? After 10 PM, turn them off? The answer is no, right? Their big thing is, it's a system of checks and balances, right? The lights go on, the train comes down within a quarter mile, it starts it's blowing the horn. Too long, one short. The problem we're having and hearing is the conductor is playing musical horns, right? I swear I've heard jingle bells and other melodies being played at middle of the night. Seems like if the person's having a bad day, takes it out on the residents. And that's what it feels like, that's what it sounds like, but this is what they asked us to do, right? This is where you folks come in, right? We need more, I hate to say complaints, but we need more awareness from the residents, right? I can sit there and call Deb and Luann 1,000 times. I can call Keolis. They probably have me on speed dial at this point, right, to ignore me, right? What we need is folks like yourselves to notify the town saying, hey, at 10 o'clock, the 10 o'clock train played 3 horns, it lasted 2 minutes. Now, once it was there, a break in between. Now, is the onus on the residents to complain? Unfortunately, this is how they've given it to us. So the more information we get from you, the more information we can compile and send it off to the folks at the train.
This is a follow-up from the same person. He's saying, no, stop the trains at that time altogether. Is that a possibility?
We have zero control of what the trains do. Now, do we anticipate or expect somewhere down the line, when the ridership numbers do come in, actually matter, that they're gonna reduce train activities? Most likely. However, we don't make that call. Nor do we even have a say on what they do with the train. If they want, they can increase ridership if they wanted to.
And it's still not gonna stop the whistle.
It still won't stop the whistle unless we do a quiet zones. But here's the kicker. Let's say we do go to the quiet zones, and it's average between 13 and 18 million dollars, right? On average, each single crossing is about $1 million to go from a two-stage, two-quadrant stage to a 4-quadrant, which is essentially bigger curtains. And by the way, I looked it up while you were speaking. Your 5,000, 3 to 5,000 for a train, they're estimating at 50,000 per same one. I know, but this is, right, we're just looking at the numbers that we were given so we can present to you folks. So,
You're getting the figures from the people
Oh,
who
sure.
don't wanna do it.
yeah,
That's all.
right, listen,
It's all just the
So the people at Zoom can't hear you if you're not at the mic, so I'm gonna ask you if you'd like to, and I know there's a lot going on here, but if you wanna speak, if you could, Luann's gonna bring out some mics, but if you could make sure you're at a mic or at the podium, it will be helpful for everybody to hear the same stuff.
as far as the report is concerned, please be aware of this. Before this was conducted, Deb, with the town of Freetown, town of Lakeville, town of Berkeley, the selectmen, everybody got together to figure out what's going on. All the residents are saying the same thing. It's the noise, the noise, the noise. Not so much the train grinding on its tracks. Mostly it's the audible noise from the conductors, right? They're blowing their horns. Safety concerns, right? Well, when we're sleeping, it doesn't really matter what we're doing. We're trying to sleep and move on with our day, right? So we've been searching for an engineer, the quiet tool calculator that the MBTA has. When the federal agencies were out here this past year, we asked them what to do. Same thing. You have to follow the calculator, follow the MBTA, follow all the federal and state procedures, because it goes state, federal, then back to Keolis or the MBTA. The towns have zero say in the matter, right? We can tell them until we're blue in the face. That's why we're getting our representatives involved, so that they hear directly from us. This isn't a Freetown thing. This is a 180 communities thing, right? Similar to the MBTA's Act, right? Like, everyone that's in that zone is getting these trains. Now, will this benefit the state? Possibly, but us in Freetown, I don't think we care.
I think the other thing is Freetown is unique in that we're the only town that has 11 crossings. We have the most crossings in the whole entire state. So we're really impacted by the train, and I've made that point when I'm talking to them. Like, it's one thing to have one crossing and maybe affect 5 individuals, but we have 11 and a 12th really, because we have a private one. That really impacts a lot, and a lot of them are back to back, which means they lay on that horn from the beginning, a half a mile before the first crossing, all the way to a half a mile after the second. So that's why you're getting that crazy horn noise, is because there's a lot of double crossings in our town. So we are unique, and that is one of the things that I keep fighting for, because we are not like any other town. If we had one crossing, we could do a quiet zone. But the fact that we have 11 and the cost is, $18 million is ridiculous. If we had 1 or 2 and it was $1 million each, we may be able to raise that money at tax levy. I don't see it happening with all our other needs.
So I did call the hotline to complain, because, just the noise, the horn, and how they just lay on it. And they'll be laying on it all the way through the crossing and continuing. And my house is a new build, or a newer build, before they did the noise mitigation study. So I can actually see the trains from my window. We watch and we can see inside, and of course they're always empty. But
Could you
they're
say your name and your
33%
address?
higher. But my thing is, I contacted them and I was really polite, but the gentleman that was on the other line was like, well, this is what you guys wanted, and this is what you're going to get. And I was just like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and I just said, okay, this is what I'm up against.
So could you just give us a
Yeah,
name, your name and
Name and records.
Mark Gonzalez, 7 Chipaway Road.
Thank you, Mark.
So your house wasn't there, right? So you should be included in this new mitigation study.
We were
Try to get a
rejected.
response from them.
Yeah, we were rejected right out of the gate. We have multiple emails going back and forth. We were told we're not eligible. This has been a nightmare since day one.
So one of the things that I've consistently brought to the MBTA, the advisors and the representatives, is that what I have been told by residents, now I don't live near the train, it doesn't affect me, is that the horns are not consistent. Sometimes they lay on them, sometimes they're toot toot, sometimes they're toot, like, and I've brought this to them, they said, there's no way. that's not way. I said, 20 different residents have told me the same thing, and they're not, you know.
It's and some are
What I-
louder than others.
What I'd like to know, if you could give me, if it happens to you, if you could call me and I could take record, because they tell me that they can go back to the train conductors and they can tell what they have done for a horn. And I know that I don't have 20 residents lying to me.
I have it
about
on
the horn.
video.
So I'd like to have dates and times so that I can go back to them. And I know this is a lot of work for my office, it's going to be a lot, but if you could email me or send it to us, I will put it together and I will demand that they review those records. Because I'm tired of them telling me that it's just the residents are making it up, because I know that's not true. I know that nobody was making trouble just to make trouble.
So how can you
So you're aware,
trust? How
I'm
can you
on the
trust
train.
someone
Well,
that says that?
You gotta work with them, right? I listen, no one's more frustrated than we and you folks, right? I live off the tracks myself. I get the high street train horn blowing right off the mountains. So I get it nice and loud. So I'm frustrated. I'm a light sleeper. So when that train's going off at 1, 2 in the morning, I'm not happy, right? So when they tell me that's not true, I push back. So this is what we're telling you folks, we need more than just me or more than just us. We need collectively, the town, to band together and give us the information we need in order to push back. Because if they're saying that they can track down the amount of horns and toots and everything else that the conductor is doing, then let's go down that route first, right? Maybe that's the solution there. So we don't know yet.
All right,
Yes.
the sequence, Bill Gway, 11 Chipaway Road, I'm right on the tracks. The proper sequence is supposed to be a quarter mile to the crossing, one long, a second long, a short, and then a long that's supposed to terminate as soon as the locomotive enters the crossing. And none of them do that. And when you're in between crossings, it sounds like the train's just blowing the horn, because we get the one from Rayleigh Road. And they blow it all the way through that one, and then there's a short pause, and then we start getting blasted at Chipaway, and then we get blasted again in Industrial Park in New Bedford, when it's coming the other way. That's how it's supposed to go. I've got it on video where they're just laying on the horn, and they never let off the horn. And the freight train is even worse, and I called that company. And I said, hey, listen, she hung up the phone on me. I said, hey, look, you got one of your train, I'm not giving you any information. You're not entitled to any of that information. I said, listen, they're supposed to be in line with what? Click. That was it. And when Jean Fox came to my house, the first question she asked me was, what's the horn sequences? Are they consistent? No. She says, everybody I'm talking to is telling me the same thing. I says, no, they're not. They're not even close. So some of them are conscientious and they seem like they barely blow on, but then the later train, the guy will just lay on it, like they fell asleep on the damn thing. So as far as that goes, the horn sequences are, they couldn't be further off.
The messaging is definitely off. When we were discussing with the MBTA in person in this room a couple of years back, they told us it was an automatic sequence, right? That it's triggered by each crossing, which we already know to be false, right? As far as the sequence, you're correct. There's a sequence of 3 that they're supposed to be doing per crossing. Now, but you look at it, you have 11 crossings within a mile of each other, right? Let's use math for a second, right? You're traveling at 79, 80 miles an hour. You're going pretty fast. By the time you hit that first train, you're already going by the second or third before your sequence is over, right? So let's face it, they're just laying on the horn because it's much easier than trying to sit there and time it out the correct way. Now, I don't mind the safety aspect of things. It's just the noise, right? They have to work with us, and that's where we're trying to get to, right? Do we have $20 million to spend on crossings? Probably not. The liability insurance that goes with that is going to be much higher than $20 million that we have to spend essentially every 3 years to recertify. So we're trying to get every single way possible to work with them, right? If we, in our opinion, the more they know that their conductors are doing this, they should reduce those noises. Should. So we're trying everything we can.
If they, you know, I was reading that, like you call, I think Deborah, you alluded to the fact that like they can pull the records. Why aren't they just doing it? Do you know what I'm saying? Like if we're complaining about it, why don't they pick random days, nights, whatever, and check? Like, why do we have to ask for them to do that?
Because
Like,
they don't wanna
that's-
do anything.
that's-
Because it's the federal government.
It's a great question,
Because they
the one
don't
that we
wanna
have
do
asked.
anything. You know,
And
They don't wanna do anything. It's-
right? And the answer we've gotten is even more ridiculous than us having to ask that question, right? It's just, we're not getting it. We're not getting the answers.
But I do think we're
One
on the
second, this
path.
gentleman's been standing there for a few minutes now.
Hi there.
Hi.
Noah Roseman, Nick Drive. My wife and I are in Chase Parker Estates. If you know exactly where that is, you probably know that the train tracks run, you know, right at that, right at Chase Parker, you know, not far. And there's houses in Chase Parker that are right up against the tracks. We're right there as well, just a little bit more back, but we hear everything just the same. I'm coming up here really tonight because I want to make sure that at the end of the day, I can say that I've done everything that I can. Because oops.
That's the second time, we got one more.
Because I know that it's a disturbance to our lives, and it seems like every time that I have ever come up here, I say that I'm from Rochester, Massachusetts. I'm used to a quiet town. I chose to live in a quiet town. I didn't want noise, and I understand that there's some now. I wish we didn't have it, but there's nothing I can do right now to just make it vanish. But I am very concerned about the 140 train horn and the 440 horn that we hear. You know, if I need to wake up to go to work and I'm waking up a little after 6 a.m., well, I don't get to wake up at 6 a.m. Now, this is a health concern because I'm waking up at 4:40. There's no way around it. I can't not wake up at 4:40 because that horn is just like an alarm. So the 141 went off. That woke me up. And you know, I need, whether this is important or not, but it's important to me, and I think it's important to whatever kind of work you all do. I teach kids. I need to be ready for them. That's a big part of my life. My wife and I, we teach kids how to read and write. You know, they're 8 and 9 years old. I need to be ready for them. The train is not letting me be who I could be. I can't sleep a normal night. So I think health concerns are a big part of this. I think when people talk about, I don't know much about it, but they talk about wind turbines and noise from that. Well, this is a train horn. I think we should look into whatever health impacts this is having.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, sure, please.
The Federal Railroad Commission
Yeah,
and the Department of Transportation have done studies on
yeah,
the health effects of loud noise.
Yeah.
Right? Not just
Mhm.
railroad,
Yeah.
but loud noises, right?
yeah,
And they're very, some of them are very severe.
yeah,
They even did studies on sound impact and decibel levels, on the impact it has on wild animals.
oh, yeah, sure,
So,
yeah,
the data is out there, you know, and these people know about the data, I'm convinced of it. You know,
Yeah.
I also came from Rochester, and I
Yeah.
also
Oh,
thought
yeah.
of a house in a quiet area, right?
absolutely, yeah, that's what I wanted.
Not only that, though, I mean, our children, you know,
Yeah.
lack of sleep, they're going to school, they're not doing as well. And you've got a bunch of drowsy people driving on our roads, more accidents, because everybody's sleep deprived. It's just,
And there's physical and mental
absolutely.
effects from loud noise.
Is there anybody here that's not, is it just all noise?
No,
Anybody that?
no, my
has-
house shakes.
All right, so that, I do want to hear that too, right? Like, I want to hear,
My pictures on my wall shake, and I have to adjust them every day.
Let me ask you this, for those that live on track,
What,
let me ask you guys, let me ask you folks this, like, let's try to kind of break it down, right? So, vibrations, things falling off the walls, right? Anybody experienced any cracks in the foundation?
yep,
All right,
and,
since the train started?
and in the corners of the walls where the joint tape is.
Yeah, I noticed that in my.
That's cracking too. And I brought that to, I brought that to their attention. Can I just say something about the noise from, this is wicked loud, I could put out here. The train horn, when I stood in the middle of the tracks, well, not in the middle, but off to the side.
Thank you, stay off the tracks.
118 decibels. And I did sound recording, so I have all the equipment, and I think you do. And the decibel system is based on the decibel. It's not necessarily volume, it's sound pressure. It's pressure waves. So my bedroom was 85 decibels when the train would come from Boston heading toward, inside my bedroom was 85 decibels at night when everything else was quiet. So I had to put blankets and a sleeping bag over the windows that I get. And they saw this. When they came, they saw this. They looked at it like, what the? I said, this is what I got to do. You know, so I'm in the process of trying to get extra storm windows for the outside of my house, just like my buddy got at the airport, at Green Airport. He got the same thing. But that's the noise level. Now I got it down to like 70 with all that. But still, it's still very, very loud. And my house shakes, and as soon as the ground freezes, shakes like crazy.
it's worse.
You know, and I'm getting cracking in the corners of all my tape joints and across the ceiling and all that stuff. And there was a crack in my foundation when I bought my house. It was a hairline crack, and it's noted in the town record when I bought the house. It was a home appraisal. That thing now was opened up to about 1/4 of an inch. And the day it did it was the day that they ran the big roller compactor over the grade crossing. And I heard it crack. I actually heard it snap. And that goes all the way to my basement floor now.
I have someone waiting on Zoom.
So yeah, noise, shaking of the house, absolutely, no doubt about it.
Now, since, for those of you that do have foundation issues, drywall issues, I'm assuming you folks reached out to the MBTA, right?
You never get a response.
Never got a response.
Yeah, we've been totally dismissed. Mark-ons on 7 Chipaway Road.
And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get this, all of this in front of the representatives so that you will be heard. Carol Fiola has been fighting, she's been fighting for the constituents in Fall River, and she said she couldn't make it tonight, but she's coming next meeting, and she's going to listen to all of you as well.
I just have a question for everybody in this room. Has anybody got a visit, other than me, from the MBTA for noise mitigation?
No,
I went to find her.
Did
What the-
anybody get a letter from them?
nope,
Okay,
nothing.
I'm glad you brought that up, because when Jean Fox came to my house, she said it was supposed to go in the order of a letter in the mail,
Yeah.
a knock at your door. When you didn't get a knock at your door and there was nobody home, they were supposed to hang a door tag.
No.
And I never got any of that.
Anybody get that?
No.
No.
And Jean Fox was the same woman that told you your property values were gonna increase, right?
No, she didn't, no, she didn't say that. I know what you're getting at, yeah.
Just pressing it.
No, don't press it.
Now,
I want to quote you something that it's from the Federal Railroad Administration, getting back to what I was telling you before. And this is a quote, it's a regulation, section 8D04, automatic gates. And it says, among other things, when in the down position, the gate arm shall extend across the approaching lanes of highway traffic. So on a crossing like Chase Road, you have 2 lanes, right? These gates do not extend across 2 lanes. So, and this is the guideline from the government agency. So they're in non-compliance ever since they did the construction down the railway line, in my opinion. And you might be able to know better. I mean,
no, we did.
Seems like we're both engineers, so,
Yeah, we did some quiet zones up in the Hanson area,
yeah,
and it was a steel barrier that went down the center of the road.
yep,
And it was a crossing that went all the way across on both sides.
yeah. And the other thing is, according to these people, the Federal Railroad Administration, the public safety officer for each town is required, or is in charge of public safety, obviously, right? And it's up to him to approve or disapprove any enhancements to a gate crossing, for example. It stipulates right in the regulations. So my question is, when that pole was hit, I hate to keep getting back to that, but when that pole was hit on the intersection of Chase Road and Braley Road, someone had to go down there and say, how can I improve this situation so this pole doesn't get hit anymore, right? So they did it the cheapest, and I must admit, the most efficient way possible, right? Just by putting reflectors around it. So there's gotta be somebody in charge who can go to like a crossing gate and say, how can I make this better without violating the federal law?
Well, I think that's what they had the VHB do.
And it certainly doesn't amount to $18 million.
And again, that's something I'm gonna look further into and hopefully have some information for you at the next meeting.
Okay, we have someone who's been waiting a while on Zoom, Michael Kempo.
Yeah, thanks for taking my question. So I went ahead on the environmental part of it, and I'll be quick, but the Terry Brook Pond is a drinking water supply for Fall River, a backup drinking water supply. So if something happens to the water tower, they rely on that water. That's official from the Fall River website, researched it. So the railroad tracks going through there have been injected with creosote, which is a cancer-causing agent that's not supposed to be exposed to drinking water supplies. Probably wasn't a big deal when there wasn't any commuter rail traffic. But now that we have commuter rail traffic going over that drinking water supply constantly, what is the environmental impact on that? I mean, I hate the commuter rail, so I'm going to come up with the environmental factor because I think that's the Achilles heel. Has that been reviewed?
I have no idea.
Hey, Mike, how you doing? This is Carlos. Well, Mike brought this up to our attention 6 months ago, Mike, something like that, maybe a little longer. So we did definitely reached out to Keolis, and also reached out to a local board of health to see if there's any water being tested for that
Kids
area.
drop off at 6:30. Concert starts at 7.
All right, you heard it here, folks. Concerts at 7. Thank you, Alan. So no, we have not got any report back on the environmental regarding the water with the creosote. So it's an ongoing. It's one of those who controls it, who's testing it, who makes it official, who doesn't make it official. So it's a process to say the least, but it will get looked into. It's just we haven't gotten it yet. So, and I know it's not an answer, but that's where we are.
Let me see if any permits were filed, on the chain, when they increased. Let me check
Yeah.
our files.
Do you mind if I, can I
Thank you
go?
for your answer,
Oh,
Carlos,
yeah.
by the way, appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, Mike.
The effort that you put into
I wasn't
it.
sure if he was still
Very
there.
appreciated. You got my vote again.
Thank you.
John Byra, I live over in Snuggles Way. Unlike you folks, I don't live actually that close to the train. I'm like right around the corner. And I can hear it. It's very faint. It's not enough to disturb me. But like I always say to my wife all the time, I'm like, what are the people who live closer to the tracks? So like when you guys tell me you can hear it, I believe you can hear it. Because if I'm hearing it, and I live pretty far away from the nearest crossing, I know where everybody else can hear it. So I'm assuming everybody's issues are really, really difficult to deal with. My question is twofold. Number one, like I know that there are regulations about when they have to sound the horn. Does it have to be as loud as it is? I mean, can they lower the decibels of the volume? Is it that simple? Does it really have to be that loud that somebody from a mile away, someone who's a mile away from the tracks can hear it? Right? Does it really have to be
I believe it
quite
is
that
a
loud?
federal regulation.
It might be. It might be. The other thing I was wondering about is instead of trying to do quiet zones or build like sound barriers, has the state looked into some kind of program for window replacement? You know what I mean? Like a grant program for window replacement or zero interest loans or something like that for people who live close to those areas that are really, really loud. I mean, that to me would be an easier, better solution.
I think that's what we're working on right now with opening up this mitigation program. I think that's one of the things that that might be helpful. I'm not even sure how helpful it will be to have new windows, but that is one of the things that the mitigation program would do. The other piece of this, I don't know if I mentioned it in the beginning of the meeting, is if there's anything that the town can do. So I think we're just trying to summarize the totality of the impacts and where we are and what the MBTA will do and what they won't do and what the town can do, what we, so I can look for that information, but hopefully the mitigation program will help a lot of people here tonight with windows, insulation, the different types of
They
mitigation.
won't do insulation.
don't?
Insulation is, no. It's only windows, doors, and mini splits, air conditioning, that is it.
Did she
Because-
give you any information? Because I know you're further along than everybody
Right,
else.
I wanted the whole side of my house, it's called retro foam. And what they do is they drill a hole in the outside of the house and they put a hose all the way down to the bottom of your fiberglass, and it absorbs, there's a company in Fall River that does it, and it absorbs all the way up to the top. And it adheres to the fiberglass insulation, so you have a solid wall. I wanted that on 3 sides of my house, on my bedroom and on my living room, and Gene Fox was like, no, insulation is not part of the deal. It's windows, doors, and mini splits.
Do you have an idea of what something like that would cost?
I don't know, because the reason I didn't look into it, because I didn't know if it was, but I can, you know what I mean?
It just helps me
I-
know, what are we talking per house? Like, how
Right.
much are we talking?
I don't know, but I can find out. It would probably go by the square foot, and I'd have to figure out what, but it's a fairly easy process, and it's something new that they came out with for soundproofing and for extra insulation, because you couldn't blow regular dry insulation into a wall that already had fiberglass insulation in it, so they came up with this retro foam that absorbs into the fiberglass mat.
Did they suggest that they were gonna replace all of your windows or just the windows in the back?
No, my windows are fairly new, so what I need is I need a storm window combo that goes on the outside of my double pane windows, which adds an extra layer of glass. And it's a fairly thick. And Anderson makes them, they're for the 200 and the 400 and the 400 tilt and wash. And what they do is it adds an extra layer, and I'm sure it would help, because a sleeping bag and a couple of blankets has helped, but not to the point where, it's still loud.
So I have something to add to that. I talked to one of my neighbors who lives 50 feet from the track, and I asked her if the T had offered her anything, because that's the last thing we heard with, the mitigation. And she said the only thing they offered her was to replace her slider with a soundproof slider. And she said, that's going to mitigate all my sound problems. And they said, well, no, but it'll help. And by the way, if you decide to take us up on this, you're going to have to sign a waiver. So,
All right, so again, if I can add a little bit, that's great that he said, that was great. And the thing is, there's only certain rooms in your house that qualify for this. So if your house is facing the tracks and you've got a bathroom, or there's different rooms that don't qualify. Bathrooms don't qualify, your kitchen doesn't qualify, so it's not the whole house. It's your living room, possibly, maybe even my case, the dining room, and bedrooms. Those are the only rooms in your house that actually qualify. So it's not a whole.
Yeah, it's a matter of even getting them out there.
Anything else that I don't get, if I get anything at all, at this point, I don't know yet. I'm just gonna do myself, because I want the whole house. My house is gonna look stupid if it's got storm windows on half of it in the front and none on the other half, so.
just don't sign a waiver.
I'm not signing anything.
Right, and that's something that we were aware of from the original, when the original times it went out, is if that section of your house is facing the track, that's the only part they would cover. So if it was your side of the house, and you have 2 windows, they'll replace those 2 windows versus the rest of the house. So that was the shortcomings of the program at the time. We do not know if they're gonna add or remove any provisions of that same program,
They
right?
did,
Okay.
because they allegedly are gonna cover the front of my house, which I get blasted from the train noise coming from Boston, and the back of my house, which I get blasted when it's coming from New Bedford. So the way my house is situated, it couldn't be worse, the way it's set up, so.
Yeah, that's exactly how my house is.
Yeah, he's in the same, yeah.
Can I
Yeah,
just
so I
add
mean-
something too, just in regard to, like, this is probably not the case for most people, but I work from home. I'm a licensed mental health therapist, and I conduct sessions all day, and the office that I'm in is right at the kitty corner of where the tracks are, and so I'm constantly interrupted about 2 times per session each day. So, I mean, it also affects livelihood as well. I mean, it's definitely affected my business, working from home, and I'm sure a lot of other people do as well in different capacities. I will say that one thing that, I mean, nobody has really mentioned, but when our trees that were kind of abutting the tracks were fuller in the thick of like the summer, it muffles a little of the noise, certainly not significant, but it does make a difference. And now that the leaves have fallen and it's back to, where we kind of started in March, it's significant, vastly, worse now.
Not only just the horns, right, but it's
The
trains sound
vibration.
like a jet, like
Yeah,
a jet coming
yeah.
by, like
And
the
it's-
wheels, the metal wheels on the track, it's just, and with the hardening of the ground and everything. it is-
Yeah.
It'd be nice if they could slow the train down. The rumble sometimes is as bad as the horn.
You guys don't like the 83 miles an hour through a residential neighborhood?
Go 80 miles an hour to talking. You'll be back in 10 minutes.
There's 10 people home in the hour, yeah.
After, yeah, we can go on and on about the train.
And unfortunately too, there's a financial loss. We purchased a home, and one of the things was, it was an investment, and it's interesting because we have a piece of the land that I guess was near the track, and we had someone come to our house and pretty much say that the MBTA was going to need the land, and there was no way that, like, they're taking it. Like, I guess they have a right to take it if it's near the land, and out of the kindness of their hearts, they provided me with $1,000 check, but they said this was just, we're gonna take it anyway, and I looked it up, and I guess it's a real thing. Like, if you have land that is in the way, or like, they can actually take. So the interesting thing about this is, I look at it this way: I pay property tax on a piece of land potentially that was taken. I got paid $1,000 to depreciate my house by like $100,000, because no one is gonna purchase my house with the amount of trains that comes by on a daily basis. No one with, half of a brain, or maybe if they wanna muffle the voices in their head, but that's about it. So that's kind of like, unfortunately, we put all our money into this home, and, here we are now looking at this huge depreciation, and I'm sure there's other individuals that are also faced with that
We have
too.
some comments and questions on Zoom. Bonnie Loeb says, I am at the track of Chase Road. The freight trains are sometimes the worst with the horns.
Yes.
Yep. Yes, they are.
Yep, and they hang up the phone on you. You can't get any information out of them.
The freight trains, they actually, was it CHC, whoever they are, they don't sound their horns.
Mass Coastal.
They're going only 20 miles an hour.
I looked it up and I call them, it's like Mass Coastal Railroad or something
I
like that.
see them all the time.
And, I
Yeah,
got.
they're fine. I don't have a problem with
Get,
theirs.
get them here too.
Yeah.
And supposedly, they're supposed, from what I was told, they're supposed to get the freight trains to be on the same horn sequence, the two long, the short, and the long, as the commuter trains. They're trying to get them to do the same thing. But as of right now, it's just a steady, steady blow.
Oh, that's even worse than the commuter rail. It's just a.
Yeah,
steady-
and I don't think, well, keep in mind, folks, that the horns are there for safety. And I think we all can say, yes, we definitely need safety involved, right? Because we keep hearing more and more of people getting hit by trains, people using the trains as a way to, exit the world, right? And unfortunately, the horns are needed. It's just the consistency of the horns should be, that's what we're trying to get to. Be consistent across the board, and then we'll take it from there, right? I think give the respect to the residents as needed, right? We know you're coming, we can hear you, we can see you, we can feel you. You don't have to be a jerk about it, right? Do your job, move on, right? That's what we're trying to get to and see where it gets to the next level. Will it work? Yet to be determined.
Keep reminding Gene and the powers that be that there's 11 crossings in that community.
We do.
Like, keep reminding them every other time, every other sentence. This is a very unique community that there's 11 crossings.
Yeah.
And we need like extra help with that.
I can honestly say, ad nauseum, we have done that. We will continue to do that, no matter how long it takes and how, we're not trying to break or ruin any relationships, but at the same time, we also are getting sick and tired of saying the same thing over and over again with very little action. So again, bringing you folks out to hear more from you, to get you involved more, right? Put the voices and faces together so we can send it up. That's what we're trying to do.
again, I want to reiterate, if you don't mind, that the goal here, the whole town, is to get rid of the noise. You're not going to get rid of the trains, but we want to eliminate the whistles, right? And I think, my personal opinion is that it's achievable, and we don't have to lay out millions and millions of dollars to do it. All we need is some common sense and some people to talk to the right politicians, and I think it's achievable. And
No.
once we eliminate the noise, then, you know, the other issue is the vibration, and, you know, and that's unfortunate, really, because I sympathize with anybody who is right near the tracks, but in reality, all our property values have decreased unless you live far, far away from the tracks. And you can say, yeah, Freetown, yeah, you can commute to Freetown by train all the way to Boston. Is that an attraction? I don't know. It's a 2-hour trip to get to Boston from Freetown, so.
I will have no doubt there's some people in Freetown that do use the train, right? And I'm glad for them. I'm happy for them that they've somehow got to work at a much reasonable rate or speed, or if they think it's environmentally friendly, who knows? But you're right. I think the ultimate goal is the common sense piece of things is what we're trying to get to. And we have told them over and over again about the train tracks, about the noise, about everything. But they refer back to the Federal Railroad Association or Administration, the FRA, the federal government. The federal government dictates ABC in the state. It's just, they're just piggybacking off each other.
So
So we've tried the common sense approach, but they keep hanging their hat on the regulations.
How can we get to the top then? Like, that's, so if they keep on pushing it down, then what, we're just spinning our wheels.
Well, persistence. We have to be persistent. We have to
I'm hoping
continue
the
doing what
next-
we're doing.
I'm hoping with the next meeting, the representatives will be here and they will hear you. Hopefully that Jean Fox has promised me that she's opening up this mitigation again. She's gonna have your name, your contact information, your address. I'm hoping that she reaches out to some of you prior to that next meeting. I really do. It's been a long road. Yeah, I think it's been a long road, but she's been changing positions, so she tells me she's in a different position. So what happened was they had hired a third party to do the mitigation. And then they ended the contract, or they fired the
Yeah, they didn't
third
renew
party.
their contract.
And then, so it's back with the Mass DOT, the mitigation, which is why it's back to Jean Fox. It was with a third-party company, and now it's back with Jean Fox. So, let's see if, and they admit that the ball was dropped on some mitigation, so let's hope, it's unfortunate that we have to sort of keep spinning our wheels here, but I'm hoping that we're getting some traction, and our meeting next month will have some teeth to it, because we're going to have the state reps here who have been fighting on your behalf as well. The MBTA advisory, I'm gonna ask them to come. They are fighting on your behalf. They work for you. They don't work for the MBTA. So, I'm hoping that we're getting some traction, albeit slow.
Getting back to what Carlos said a couple of minutes ago, the federal government does give you a way to alleviate and increase the safety at railroad crossings. One of them is to add the longer gate, right? And the other
Quadrant system.
is to put a median strip right down the center line of the road for 10, 15 feet on either side to prevent people from crossing lanes and going around the gate. I think those are both cheaper alternatives, without a doubt, than $17 million. And it's achievable by the towns, I believe. I believe that's something our own DPW could do, is put median strips in the middle of the road.
Would that alleviate this horn though?
Well, no, that gives you the basis for creating a quiet zone. Then you would have to go to the people and say, look, this is what we've done to enhance safety at the crossings, right? What do you think of it? And they really don't have any ground to stand on if they come back and say it's not enough. Well, you know, safety is your main goal here, right? You want to prevent accidents from happening at the crossings.
Right.
This 2 medians on either side of the tracks does that. It's simple, it's common sense, and it's cheap.
I don't know that we have the width to do it on some of the
Raise
roads.
money for something like this, all right? These are just some of the ideas that I had. Do you happen to know, and I'm sure this is public information, how many tax-paying households there are in the town of Freetown?
We have roughly about 3,200 households here.
Right, it's 3,200, so that's not that much. All right, so As far as for paying for some of the costs of the court of, and I don't know if there's any state money or federal money that can be involved in this, I don't know. Would it be feasible to, for instance, there be a 10% rise in tax for a year, for instance, something like that?
2.5 is, we're maxed at 2.5, and we just did a tax levy, so can we do a side tax for 10%? I don't
An
think we
assessment,
can.
yeah, like, no, and.
10% is pretty steep.
And then how fair is that to elderly people who
Yeah.
have retired
Yeah.
and have lived here their whole life, built this community? We have a beautiful community, so is that fair to them? Now you're gonna push them out? That's-
I want a GoFundMe page.
I know the town can't do a GoFundMe page with nothing that says that residents can. So,
I know as far as health, and I'm just gonna be honest, I don't care about my, I actually started off, when this first happened, all right, I started getting high blood pressure, my blood pressure, well, they call that hypertensive 1, right? From not sleeping, and I need, somebody needs like 8, 9 hours. So I started off with 25 milligrams of metoprolol. 25 went to 50, now I'm on 75. So this does have a medical, it has a physical impact on your body. And I'm the proof of that. Because this, and I mean, I row, I do all kinds of stuff, and I can't sleep. I'm up that train at 1:30. Yeah, exactly. It's just, it's unbelievable. And you know, I kind of want to sleep with earplugs in, but if I sleep with earplugs in and the fire alarm goes off in the middle of the night, can't hear it. Somebody breaks in my house in the middle of the night, or my Ring cameras go off, there's somebody breaking into my, can't hear it. Now, my wife got right out of the bedroom and went to the other side of the house. She's in my son's room, she bought an adjustable bed, she sleeps in there because she can't stand, I like my bed though, I don't want to give it up. But that's, I mean, but it does, it actually affects your health. And I don't know if anybody else has experienced this.
Yes.
Fatigue,
Yes.
No consolation to you.
aggravation, you get all kinds of irritability, you get all kinds of stuff.
No consolation to you, but the federal government does know what you're going through, and they do know, they can feel your pain, because they've done studies on it.
Yeah,
It affects you mentally and physically.
yeah, exactly.
The thing is they say, you know, safety, and that's great, but
Yeah.
you have hundreds of people, hundreds of lives on a daily basis that are being medically compromised, physically, mentally. So are we just like throwaways? I mean, this whole safety thing, right? So you literally have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that are dramatically affected by this, and nothing is being done about it. Nothing. Safety first, that's all we hear. It's like a bunch of parakeets. But we're literally suffering here. And nothing is being done.
well, nothing's being done, well, it's slow. I will admit that. It is slow, it is frustrating. No one's more aggravated than the people standing here and the folks directly impacted by the train noise. Let's get that out of the way. Nothing being done is falls short of what's being done, right? So there's a lot of work being done. This didn't happen overnight. This took us months to even get the right people involved to get them out here to do the study, right? Then working with other towns. There's a lot of collaboration, a lot of phone calls and emails, there's a lot of boots on the grounds to get this here, to get together. Unfortunately, they're not here with us today. February 11th, they will be. But I can't say that nothing's being done. It's
Well,
slow,
not
it's
on this
frustrating.
side.
Right,
I'm
it's slow and
talking on that
frustrating,
side.
but we hear you, we're pushing back. But we're also getting the pushback as well, right, from them. So
We are fighting.
we are. It's frustrating, but we're not giving up. We're not giving up. This is why we're here. It just, it takes, it's government. It takes
It's gonna
forever.
take a long time.
It takes forever.
Are there any specific railroad crossings that are affecting more people, like the most people in our community? Can we start with those crossings first and appeal to the state, Jean and Carol, and say, these are the crossings that are affecting our community the most? Can we get some assistance with quiet zones in these particular locations first?
If you've all signed in and given me your name and your address, that's something I'm gonna be looking at in terms of what's the most impact. And anybody at home, feel free to email me with your contact information as well, so I can make sure, because I know not everybody could make it tonight. I do have a list already running that I have already supplied to the MBTA and Gene Fox of people that have come to my office physically in person. I do have, people do come, and I'm not forgetting those people, so if you weren't here tonight, doesn't mean you don't get in on this. And I'm gonna look at that, and then for the next meeting, I can maybe give you the demographics and so you can see what I see, what I'm getting for information from everybody.
And then I would also say the gentleman that talked about the foam in his home,
Yeah.
like the 3 walls, just because they say you can't do it now doesn't mean things can't change in the future. So if that was like a cost-effective solution that you brought to the table to show Carol and Gene Vox, you know, this is $10,000 or $12,000 versus whatever, maybe a family would, you know, opt to try that solution and have some type of a match from the government or from the town or something.
Possibly you could get me a quote and I could
Well,
help,
what I
that
did-
would be helpful.
What I did with Gene Fox when she was sitting on my couch, and the other two, one guy was, I'm like, sit down, you're making me nervous. And they both sat down, and I said, look, I said, what I would like to do is a retro foam. She goes, I don't even know what that is. And I had the video loaded on my phone. And I said, you're gonna find out right now. And I put it on the TV. She goes, no, we don't do that. But hopefully, like this lady said, maybe eventually, this may be something that they may wanna look at. But I will, yeah, I can look into that, yeah.
My goal and our goal is to help the residents with the impacts.
Yeah.
So if it's not gonna be the MBTA that's going to help you, we are going to do our best to get you help some way. So all the information, even if the MBTA says they're not gonna cover it, like you're saying, maybe there's other programs, and I am going to be looking at that. You know, I'm the grant guru, I get grants all the time, I'm always pounding the pavement. We get earmarks from all of the representatives in the state. So if they hear you, and they may say, okay, we'll give you some earmarks that you can use to help the residents. I don't know, but what I'm saying to you is, the MBTA is who should be responsible, and they should be taking care of this for the residents. But if they don't, that doesn't mean we're dead in the water. That means we're gonna back up and pivot and see what else what other solutions we can find. If they don't pay for the insulation, but you think that's gonna be extremely helpful, maybe we look into finding a resolution for that. I just want you to hear what I'm saying to you, like, I don't say, take no and just, it ends there. We're going to keep working to try to get those people that are mostly impacted, especially with the health issues. And, you know, I don't think I can stop the train. I don't think that I can do quiet zones for you. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think that's in the realm of possibilities. I'm not saying it's not something that we're not working on, but I don't think it's feasible financially with the crossings that we have. But we'll keep looking at it. But if there's mitigations, I think that they're not dead in the water. If it's that, okay, at the end of the day, we have to do X, Y, and Z, then maybe that's what we do. But I'm gonna keep trying with the resources that I can get my hands on.
The majority of the sound comes through the windows, because when I've taken my sound meter, I've actually pointed it at the center of the living room wall, and I don't get the high readings that I get when it's going by a window. Literally, you can sit in my living room and watch the sound come in the 2 front windows, come in the side, and go out the back. You can literally, I can actually see that happening. And I've actually taken readings at different spots in the house. So yeah, the insulation would help, I think, if I took the windows, totally took all the windows out of the track side of my house. I would have to blank the windows up, I believe. I would probably have to do that
Yeah.
to get that to be that quiet.
I mean, maybe we look into hiring our own consultant for the town to go out and investigate, right, and look at these issues. Maybe that's something that we can talk with the selectmen about and maybe get a warrant on the article, so that we have our own firm working for us that goes to the residents and assesses whether you need mitigation or not, because I don't know, and, you know, I have people that live 3 miles away that say they need mitigation, because it impacts everybody differently, right? So maybe that's something we can talk about?
Right, so what Deb is talking about is something we've been speaking in the background on, right? If, going back to the realm of common sense, right? If we ask the question 1,000 times over the next few years and we still get the same answer, either ignored or no, well, it's who of us to figure out the next step, right? So what does that mean? Does that mean go to the state, to representatives, to town meeting, and seeing what we can do to help the residents? That's what we're looking at in the background, right? Because if this isn't gonna stop, we have to make sure that the residents are protected every way we can. Now, can we do every single thing possible? Probably not, but can we help? That's what we're looking at. So when you hear that, it means we're looking at every single possibility possible to help the residents of Freetown. What does that look like? We're in the beginning stages of that. It's frustrating, we know, but we are looking outside the box to make sure we have answers.
Deb?
Could we
Ask a
get an
question.
assessment, just to, like, someone to assess the crossings, to get an actual, like,
That's what Deb's gonna be working on. So we got the preliminary items from the engineers that we've been looking for months to get going, right? Based on that calculator that they have, that per crossing. So now we're gonna check the numbers, see if they are feasible, right? But if they, let's say they come back and they are feasible, 13 to 18 million dollars, plus every 3-year reassessment, plus liability insurance, plus everything else in between now we own, right?
Can I say
Can't
something?
touch it, but we own it.
You're stuck in a box that's created by the people that you're trying to get something from. You're stuck in a box that was created by the MBTA, Keolis, whoever, right? I think we need to think outside the box. Forget the $18 million. That's just, sorry, it's bullshit, right? Everybody knows it. So we have to come up with our own method to do it. Do our own study to find out.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about.
I mean, like I told you before, it's right in the regulations, federal regulations. They're giving you alternatives, right? And I'm sure they don't include $18 million worth of remediation. The other thing is, I wanted to ask you guys, you and Deb, is have you guys talked to the state reps and the state senators for help?
Mr. Willett just
Mr.
walked
Willett
in,
just
the
walked in.
Representative Willett,
The
so-
short answer is yes.
So
We
this
have
is- so
spoken to them
yes.
at length. Like we said, anybody that'll listen, anybody that'll take a phone call, anybody that'll take a meeting, email, we have asked. We have spoken to them. We're gonna continue doing that until we're blue in our face or they just don't wanna see us anymore. But we're gonna continue doing it professionally, together as a team.
You're welcome, Representative Willett
Come on
is
up, you
here.
get them a chair.
Imagine that, one of the state reps that actually come. That's excellent. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Just came from a Christmas party, that's why I look dashing, sorry.
Welcome.
Thanks, no
Welcome.
problem.
All right.
So yes, Representative Willett has been on my email chains. He knows your concerns, the concerns with the mostly noise, but we do have some shaking of houses and different other impacts of the train. We now have heard from residents that have health impacts. Sorry, our lights go out every 20 minutes. It's just a timer to keep people moving out. We've heard from residents that now have health impacts because they can't get any sleep. We've heard from residents tonight that have businesses within their home that are impacted because the trains are going back and forth and they are having trouble running their businesses out of their home. So we've been taking all of this information down. It is being recorded. I am getting everybody's contact information to create a list of names and addresses and complaints. And I'm going to compile that and forward it to the reps. You know, Carol Fiola has also been on all of that. She's been in the forefront as well. She's the one that set up the meeting with the MBTA advisory group, which, like I said, works for the residents, not for the MBTA. I'm gonna get it to all of them, and at the next meeting, we're hoping that Gene Fox has some more information for us on their mitigation and what the MBTA is willing to do. And we're gonna assess what I think maybe the town can do to supplement what we're asking the MBTA to do, so that we can start moving forward if the MBTA doesn't help us with the impacts. So I don't know, Rep. Willett, if you have anything
No,
you'd
I'd just like to say Carol did check in with me when I was on the road coming here. For those that don't know, she's chairperson of economic development now in Boston, so she's got a lot of responsibilities, she's trying to get a lot done. So I'll brief her after I leave here. There is gonna, as Deb mentioned, there is gonna be a follow-up. I'm mostly just here to hear the complaints, the issues, and try to find ways to address it. We're doing the homework here.
Yeah, from the general discussion, it's really the noise at this point, right? If we can work with the residents to mitigate the noise, right? We know we can't stop the train. We know we can't stop the hours, right? That's outside of our control.
Yeah.
But what the common sense leads us back to is how do we mitigate the noise? They will all tell you, like I've reported myself, that it's inconsistent, right?
Yeah.
We can just get the baseline done.
Right.
Consistency. If you have to blow the horn, blow it the correct way, right?
Yeah.
Let's go to the standard, right? That they keep telling us about. I think that's our step one. Then you're looking at, let's do some math. If you're going down 11 crossings within 83 miles an hour, you're gonna go through all 11 within about less than a minute.
Yeah.
do you think you need to hold the horn the entire time? Common sense has to play a part in this, and that's where the frustration kicks
So
in.
still up to this time, because that was a complaint in Fall River too, up to this time, they're still doing that sporadic?
Oh, yeah.
All right,
Oh,
because
yeah.
Gene said they were gonna work on that, so,
Well,
okay.
I think the conductors have gone really good at playing jingle bells with the horns,
they
different
mentioned that
melodies.
too, yeah.
So, and I believe you've been hearing that, not just from Freetown, but most of,
Well, in Fall River, I have, I've got Westport, so I've got around the pond, so I don't have the section. Carroll's got the main section. So, but yeah, I hear it, and same thing here. I've got phone calls of people saying they can't go to sleep till 1 o'clock, then, they're up at 5 o'clock. And that's what they were supposed to be working on, changing, scheduling around. And I think Deb, she sent us a letter this morning that they're still tweaking it or whatever, that they couldn't be here today, but, obviously a concern and see what we can do. I mean, the thing they tell us is, like you just said, it's $1 million an intersection if you want to quiet them down, and we got to jump through a bunch of hoops. So there's got to be a better way. So we'll keep chipping away. Again, this is to get all the information. Everybody's in holiday mode pretty much for the next 2 weeks. So after that, I expect to dig deeper. That's when we're going to have more meetings. That's when people won't be on vacation and start digging in over the winter while we got more time to aggravate people. In Boston, not you people.
In Jean Fox's defense, I knew she couldn't make tonight, but I felt I had residents who were really impacted, have been contacting me, and I wanted to have the meeting because I wanted you to know that I am working behind the scenes, and I do hear you. And she said that she needed this information. She needed contact information, names and addresses. So I didn't want her to say she didn't have the information she needed to do what she needs to do. So that's why I had this meeting, knowing that she wasn't gonna be able to make it. She said she just wasn't gonna be ready to present at this meeting. So I full-heartedly believe she'll be at the next meeting with some more information for everybody.
Hi,
Hi.
149 Burley Road, Roberta Willett. I'm there with the noise, the vibration, the cracked foundations, I got it all. But we have one issue on Burley Road. They took out a drainage pipe when they put them new tracks in and never replaced it. And I've been working with Luann, thank you Luann, she's been helping me. But you know what, this has been since June. Now we're in winter. Then spring, the water's coming up right up to my front door. What is the big deal? Why couldn't they put a new drainage pipe in? You took it out.
I have contacted Jean Fox about that drainage pipe, so.
And I have
will
too.
follow up.
This has since
That
been June.
Deb, that was through the railroad they did that drainage?
Yes.
It wasn't a different division, it was through the railroad division? Okay.
There was a drainage pipe there. They
Yep,
took
they
it
took it
out.
out.
They
I
removed
got
it.
you. I was just wondering
Never
what-
replaced it.
I was wondering who's the
And
one
that's 4
responsible.
families that's affecting on Burley Road.
Okay, well, looks like you're gonna have fun Friday when we get more rain.
Well,
so-
you know, I'm gonna have to get out there with my camera and take some more pictures, which I have, and I emailed to Gene Fox and the rest of them, the MBTA, all the pictures. That water's not going anywhere, it's just sitting there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That has to be addressed, I'm
In
sorry.
front of 149, where it's missing?
It's right near the railroad tracks. It's 4 families from the railroad tracks on Burley Road all the way down toward Chase Road. It's 4 families
4 families.
on the left.
I will forward you the information, I do have it. We have been trying to, we have sent that to Jean Fox.
Kevin
Winter's
Lyons.
here, though.
Oh,
Okay, go ahead.
Kevin Lyons, 103 Richmond Road in Assonet. I'm actually just before the North Richmond Road. My property is 180 feet in the back. I live next door to 105, when the gentleman's here. That horn sounds off as soon as it hits my property and rips all the way through. My question is this, and it seems that everyone has the same issues. What happens when you contact Jean Fox and she says that, no problem, we're gonna get somebody out there, we're gonna take care. Right, then I call Mike Rodricks and his assistant sends me right back to Jean Fox, and then Jean gives me somebody else's information, and then I call that lady and she says, well, so sorry, they did the assessment. He did the assessment 12 years ago, prior to cutting down the trees, right? And the best that I got, which was almost like a kick in the ass, was Gene saying, well, let me see if I can get you some trees. Well, the last meeting said trees aren't really a buffer, so I don't know how you got out of your house. You bring some whiskey, I don't know what you break out there, but you get some inside pull. No one's ever really got back to me, so, there's the frustration right there. I pay a lot of money in taxes in this town, love this town, grew up here. I'm here. you know, I'm here and I'm pretty discouraged. I have 3 grandchildren. You know, there's one, he's almost 2. He's the only one that enjoys the train. So that's about it in our house. So, yeah, where do you go when Gene doesn't, you know, when Gene doesn't come through and Mike Rogers? I mean, where do you go? Where do you go from there?
Could I? Have you tried Carol? Because that's her district.
So-
Carol
So
I mean, I'm gonna relay to her, but.
So I really, I mean, you know, you knew the train was coming.
Right.
Right? You knew the train was coming. You had plenty of time. Right? That's exactly, these are the quotes that you get. You know, so don't think that, you know, Carol's just as, you know the train was coming. You should have sold. You should have
I
sold.
got you, but just to follow up, try, if, on the sheet, is her email?
Yeah.
And if you could, just send her an email too. And if you want to CC me, I'm the one on the right. And folks, a lot of people make a mistake. For my State House email, it's not Steven, it's Steve. A lot of people put Steven and I don't get it. So it's steve.willett on my email.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah,
And
thank you.
copy me on everything, because I am going to
Yeah.
be
We've got quite a few emails that have been going back and forth, right? And you get the same, you know, it's the same.
But I don't mean to keep jumping in, but like we said, we're gonna have a meeting at the beginning of the year. The more stuff we have, the punch list to give her, especially if you've got an email as a history and stuff, it helps you.
I mean, yeah.
A phone call is tougher.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
But I mean, we need the list, so.
All right, well, yeah, at least you're here, Steve, right? That's a little bit better than the
Thanks.
rest, right?
He looks dashing too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
dressed up for you.
I did take off my tie, sorry, I had little trees on it.
And just one more thing, I'm not sure, so Orange County, California, granted, you know, not the same, you know, they have a noise ordinance that you can't land a plane, I believe it's after midnight. So I don't see, I mean, this is Freetown, and we stick together, I don't know why we can't come up with a different noise ordinance.
Well, surprising or not,
Why couldn't we?
Freetown does not have a noise ordinance.
Okay.
Right.
So if I'm splitting wood, you know, at midnight, out back, I mean, the train's gonna fucking run at 1, so if I'm splitting wood out back, I try to be a good neighbor, unfortunately, I try to be a good neighbor, right?
Well,
So
for First Amendment rights and speech, just keep in mind, we have children in the back.
I do apologize.
Getting worked up.
I
Yeah,
don't
no,
think
I don't
that
blame
an
you. No, not at
MBTA
all.
would be, I
but
bet they wouldn't be subject to a noise ordinance from the town of Freetown. Because otherwise, we could talk about working on that as well. In fact, it's been talked about a few times in this town. I don't think that they would be subject to it, but I will look into that.
So, yeah, I mean,
But Gene Fox is the same person that told you property values are gonna go up.
well, listen, I love this town, right? I would never wanna leave this town, but it's getting to the point where my wife and I are both looking at each other and saying, do we leave our grandkids? I mean, my grandkids are getting woken up. It's not really, it's not the town, and I get change. I'm not trying to stop change. I told Gene, I'm not trying to stop the train. That's not, well, your house is on the tracks. You should have known. That's, you know, they all have the same. And
Yeah.
And then the whole malarkey about it's gonna better my community and everything. Listen, you know, I wasn't born on a turnip truck, right? I'm from Asona. How do they say, you bring your lawyers, well, you know,
And they've never talked to you about mitigation?
absolutely not.
Because how far are you from the tracks? 100 feet?
120 feet, so off my porch, I have, let's say it's a 15 by 20 porch. I'm 120 feet from the first rail. So, you know, we're pretty close. I never complained, I never once. When it came through, and I go, geez, I read the Gazette, said, don't worry, we'll contact you, don't contact us. I waited. Finally, it came through. I think I've talked to Jean 4 times. I've given her my email. I've talked a bunch of times. She actually had to call me back because of Mike Roderick's office, right? So she had to call me. She goes, oh, geez, I didn't realize. Why didn't you call? Listen, Jean, I don't know what to tell you. No one's ever come out, no one's ever.
And just for your information, you've been on my list.
Oh,
So you
yeah.
already have, she already has your information
Oh,
because
of
you were on
course.
my original
Of
list.
course, I've been on every list. I try to make it to every meeting that they have, right?
Right.
We're on a lot of lists, actually, probably the naughty list. But we're there. And it's not fair, and again, and I know everyone's got the same gripe, and I'm not, when I'm in bed, the northbound train, horrible, right? Southbound train, I'm in bed. I hear it going up past Forge, goes through, I don't even know how Mona sleeps through that. Through Forge, that guy lays on that horn. Listen, it's midnight, 1 o'clock. You don't need to lay on it. Exactly what everyone's saying. There's no reason for it. We get some conductors that are great, right? You go, oh, you don't want to complain. That's a good guy. Just a quick toot, 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 and he's through, right? That's perfect. I don't understand. Again, at midnight, that's a nice thing to do, right? That's the respectable thing. But I hear these guys all the way through Walnut, all the way. They'll just lay on it, and I'm like, holy shit, if I can hear it from bed, how do they live? I mean,
That's one of the main things that I thought was an easy fix. Let's be
Yeah.
consistent with the horns, but I can't seem to get that. They tell me, no,
South-
that isn't happening. They keep telling me that is not happening. I said 20 residents is not lying to me.
South is worse than north? Southbound's worse?
So for me, north is worse.
North's worse?
I mean, listen, southbound's not any better.
Yeah, I know.
But I hear, I
But the
really-
happy-go-lucky guys heading north with the horn? Okay.
Again, it's the conductor. It feels like the conductor. It's, you know, it all.
Well, that's what they said at the Fall River meeting, which was months ago, and they were having staff problems, but by now, they should be settled down. So,
I'm
okay.
still hearing that same complaint consistently.
But they'll lay on it and then they'll do the at the end too.
Yeah, that's what Fall River comes in, yeah.
I know.
Yeah, the little extra.
It's not funny, but
Yeah, it's, I mean, you have to, listen, I love this town, I don't wanna go anywhere, we really don't wanna go anywhere, but I mean, it is a challenge, it's a real challenge, I mean.
It is.
anybody?
So, and again, and now is my property, not that I would ever ask for it, but my property's not worth what it was, and I have a beautiful piece of property over there, so, yeah, I get everyone's frustration, I just try to not say anything.
I'm gonna try to wind this down, again, make sure you've signed in and done everything. If somebody would like to speak and hasn't had the opportunity to speak, please come over to the podium, and speak so that you're heard. Again, you know the goal here is to compile this information list for the representatives. Feel free to speak.
Okay, I'm Howard Jellison, and I live at 153 Brayley Road. And I'm listening to this tonight. This is the first time I've attended a meeting, and I've had some conversations in the past with Gene Fox, who I love dearly. And as far as that meeting went, and I have witnesses to this, in the very beginning when they started the construction on this, with the vibratory rollers and all the construction equipment and everything was going on, I started having cracks appear in my drywall. And I had Jean out, she looked at it, and as God is my witness, her answer to me was, get a lawyer.
That's so sweet.
Okay, and I've got witnesses to that, and I wasn't too impressed with it. What's been said here tonight is absolutely true. This affects everyone mentally, physically. It's just got all of us living on edge. There's nothing better than having to sit up till 1:30 in the morning because you don't dare to try to go to bed, and you wait for that 1:30 train, which is absolutely ridiculous to put us through that. And then it starts again at 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30. Here we go. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed trying to get my eyes closed. And then it continues all day long. And as far as that goes, I'm here to tell you, when that guy comes through, I think that they have a war with me. They must know how I feel about it. Some of these guys come through and that horn is tolerable. Some of these guys come through and Choo Choo Charlie is leaning on that thing enough to blow the windows out of my house. And I'm less than 100 feet to that railroad track. You know, I've lived here for over 50 years in the town, and I feel like the gentleman said over there, nobody wants to leave it. But I'll tell you something, I'm going to leave it. I've already started looking, and I have a place in Florida that I intend to escape to. Nothing seems to make sense up here in this state anymore. It's disgusting. We're just here looking for answers, and you want me to be completely honest with you, I don't think we're going to get anything done, and I understand the effort that you people are putting into it. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. And I heard something years ago that sticks in my head, and I believe it today. Whatever Boston wants, Boston gets. And I think Boston is starting to shove the problems that they have up there off on the cities and mostly the towns that live in southern Mass. And we can't keep paying. We're going to run out of money. I remember John Ashley turning his pockets inside out one night, so I haven't got any more left. Hey, it's got to come to some sort of a solution. That's all we're asking for. I live down in Florida part-time during the year. They have a railroad down there that they call the Bright Line. And the people down there very affectionately describe it as the killer train. And even that thing, because of the noise levels, they got the Bright Line to lower the horns, and they stopped blowing that horn through some of the cities such as Melbourne, Palm Bay, other areas down there, down at Vero Beach. It was just, it's unnerving. And if you don't believe it, I wish somebody from the T would come and sit in my living room and wait till about 1:30 in the morning so they could enjoy what they've given me. That's all I've got. This problem's here. I hope it gets straightened out, but I'm optimistic.
Thank you.
And as for one last thing too, we do have a problem with the construction that was done there. And you can't blame the T for it, but you gotta blame somebody in the T for hiring an incompetent crew of people that did that repair work. And they did. They ripped out a pipe, and I have pictures of that pipe that was laying there. They never replaced it. They don't even have, to my knowledge, any kind of a drainage system that runs from one side of that track to the other side of that railroad bed. And years ago, in the very beginning, we had a pipe that went across there, and you could hear it running almost 12 months out of the year. And right now, water seeks its own level. And if there's a great big culvert in there, and I don't know whether it even goes under the tracks, but it'd be a biblical flood before the water reaches that height. And in the meantime, we're swimming on our property. We didn't ask for this. We didn't. It's crazy. And that's just how I feel. I wish everybody luck with this.
I will ask Chuck to look at it. I do have pictures, I do have some information in the office.
Maybe they ran into Concom issues too? I mean, I don't know, we'll dig into it.
I don't know, I'm gonna see what permits were filed, because that's been a question that's been asked tonight as well.
Okay.
I don't wanna make any promises. You all know where I stand. I'm gathering information. I'm fighting the fight behind the scenes with the reps. They know what I know. Nothing moves fast, so I'm not gonna make you any promises that anything anytime soon is going to happen. It just doesn't work in a municipality. I call it municipal world. Things do not happen quickly, but know that we are here. I'm here. Feel free to reach out to me. I do take every complaint seriously. I do try to push it to the level that it needs to go to. And there's really all we can do, but hear what we said tonight. If the MBTA is not going to come to the table and do what they have said that they will do, that we will look at other solutions as well.
Well, we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I think everyone.
It's frustrating,
much appreciated.
but we're not giving up.
It's lack of sleep.
And thanks for
Sorry.
sorry.
No problem, no problem.
Thank you.